Obsidian is one of the most popular personal knowledge management app available today. It was my first experience with this type of app. After a few months of trying to incorporate it into my routine and hoping it would enhance my previous workflow, I didn't notice any improvement in my efficiency. So I made the decision to stop using it over a year ago and began exploring other PKMs. However, I've recently made a decision to give it another try. This time, I've been consistently impressed by numerous aspects of Obsidian. So today, I'd like to share my second impression of Obsidian. Let's get started. Obsidian was developed by creators of Dynalist, an outliner app, Shida Lee and Erica Shu. Obsidian offers users one of the best combination of data ownership, data privacy, and flexibility with an ideal business model, which includes free to all users. Obsidian was initially released in March 30, 2020. The app earned a runner app position in 2020 Golden Kitty Awards in the productivity category on Product Hand. In September 2020, they launched Obsidian Publish, which allows creation of wiki-like website from our own Obsidian nodes with simple clicks. In 2021, its mobile version was released and was awarded the Golden Kitty Award of the 2021 in mobile app category. In December 2022, Obsidian released Infinite Canvas plugin, which was once again received a runner-up 2022 Golden Kitty Award spot. On March 2024, they created JSON Canvas, open file format for infinite canvas data. On November 2024, they released Web Clipper browser extension. On February 2025, Obsidian made its commercial license optional. This finally made Obsidian truly free to use for all. Despite undeniable popularity of the Obsidian in PKM community, there seems to be more split user opinion in Obsidian than some of the other PKMs. Some people may firmly believe it's the best personal knowledge management tool out there, while others find it hard to understand why anyone would prefer it over other PKMs available. Personally, I've had both ends of opinion myself about Obsidian. In today's review, I will concentrate on core or vanilla version of Obsidian. While it's true that community plugins are one of the main distinguished features of Obsidian, they come with their own set of advantages and disadvantages. The core features of Obsidian are already quite powerful and can definitely compete with most, if not all, personal knowledge management systems available in the market, each with its own advantages and disadvantages. When watching this video, please remember that the limitations I mentioned may very well have some workarounds available through community plugins. Let's dive in. Let's start with pros. One of the main strengths of the Obsidian is its focus on data privacy and security. Unlike many other applications, personal knowledge management system apps are fundamentally note-taking tools, which provide users with the flexibility to decide what to include. As a result, there are no limitations regarding what can be entered into the system, whether it's your creative ideas, intellectual property, confidential company information, or even user login details. If you are entering sensitive information, ensuring data privacy is essential. Recently, I've grown increasingly curious about the data privacy risks linked to PKM apps. I've begun conducting some online research. Terms such as local app, open source, or server-sided encryption don't necessarily reduce the privacy risk. Even if a hypothetical application includes all three of these features, it could still allow developers to access and collect your data whenever there is an online connection, meaning it could be a high-risk app from a data privacy perspective. I would categorize Obsidian as minimal risk, meaning it has the lowest risk possible. The developer genuinely goes above and beyond in managing privacy risks. I would feel at ease storing both personal and sensitive company information in Obsidian. This is because Obsidian operates completely offline without needing any license validation or asking for your personal information before you can use all its features. For syncing across multiple devices, they provide an optional Obsidian sync service that allows you to utilize their server with end-to-end encryption. This ensures that only the devices at the end can access the data, while the server and developers are unable to access your information. Since Obsidian is not an open source or source available project, those who are concerned about the data privacy may wonder how we can be sure they are being truthful. To address this, they have demonstrated their commitment by requesting third-party audit by QR53 and publicly sharing the results. If you are thinking about using a personal knowledge management app as your second brain and the notes you create hold lasting value for you, it's important to select a system that doesn't confine you to their platform. With Obsidian, the blend of 100% local and native file storage, the use of open source formats, and the absence of mandatory subscription provides complete data ownership, which is one of the Obsidian's most compelling advantages. Vendor lock-in or data hostage situations can arise when accessing your notes and other data requires a specific application from a particular vendor. In this case, if you lose access to the app for any reason, you also lose access to your data. This can occur with subscription-based applications. Personally, I always take a moment to consider what I would lose if I choose to cancel my subscription before signing up for any subscription-based PKM app. This approach helps me avoid feeling trapped in a subscription just to keep access to the data I created myself. A hypothetical long-term vendor lock-in situation to consider, especially if the data you are entering is intended to be permanent, is what occurs when the developer ceases to update the app, or when your future device no longer supports a compatible version. This situation can happen even if you own the app. Obsidian is a completely offline app, ensuring that all your data is stored locally. It doesn't even require mandatory online license validations or re-authentication. You can access your data anytime and anywhere as long as you have a device with Obsidian installed, regardless of your internet connection. If you discover that the latest version of Obsidian no longer meets your needs, you can simply continue using the current version and enjoy its full functionality without spending a dime. Obsidian steers clear of proprietary file formats. Each node in Obsidian is saved in Markdown format, making it accessible with any text editor. For their whiteboard feature, known as Canvas, they have developed their own open source format called JSON Canvas. All file types are simply individual native files located right in your local computer folder. Whether you've chosen to move on from Obsidian to another PKM, or if the Obsidian app becomes incompatible with your device down the line, all your individual files will remain accessible and there will be options to access them through third-party apps. In fact, some users take advantage of Obsidian's individual file storage architecture and use the other apps to edit Markdown or even incorporate other personal knowledge management tools like Logseek alongside Obsidian. Despite all these class-leading fundamental designs, Obsidian offers one of the fairest business models from the consumer's perspective. For local use of the app, it's entirely free. There's no feature limitation between free and paid tiers. Free sounds fantastic for consumers, but if developers don't see any benefits in continuing to enhance their product, they may halt development, which would impact us. Therefore, it's crucial to think about developers' motivation to keep improving their app. Is Obsidian's business sustainable? The simple answer is a resounding yes. But how do they accomplish this? Is there a hidden agenda? The first part relies on the thoughtful support of users. For individual contributors, there is a one-time donation option available, ranging from $25 to $100. Depending on the donation tier, you would enjoy early access, entry to a special Discord channel, and a digital badge on the official and Discord forums. Unlike many other PKM apps, the early access in the Obsidian appears to provide only a few weeks to maybe a month of a head start, and even that isn't consistent. For instance, as of today, there is no early access version available since the public version is the latest one. For commercial profit use, there used to be a mandatory licensing plan, but it has recently become optional. This change aligns with the individual user's optional licensing concept, and most importantly, makes the app truly free to use, regardless of the purpose. This is thought to be one of the primary revenue sources of the Obsidian. Major corporations like Amazon and Google have this commercial license subscription. Obsidian has two completely optional subscription service plans, Obsidian Sync and Publish. The Obsidian Sync allows users to synchronize their content across multiple devices using end-to-end encryption through Obsidian server. The Obsidian Publish allows users to publish our notes on an Obsidian-hosted web server. Since both of these services rely on Obsidian's physical server resources, providing them as an optional subscriptions makes perfect sense. Both of these services are optional, and alternatives do exist for them. One of the distinguishing features of a PKM system setup compared to simply using a standalone note-taking app is its built-in methods to help organize an ever-growing collection of notes. Whether you choose the Power method outlined by Tiago Forte, the Zettelkasten system created by Nicholas Luhmann, Atomic Notes, or any other organizational approach, the tools for organizing notes can be categorized into one or a blend of three core types: hierarchy-based organization systems, network-based organization systems, and object-based organizations. The perfect organization system is subjective and varies from person to person. There isn't a universal solution. Some systems may be more effective than the others depending on the context. Using an unsuitable type of organization system in a wrong context can lead to unnecessary challenge in note-taking and decrease overall efficiency in the workflow. Obsidian offers one of the most flexible collections of note organization tools for users. Since Obsidian utilizes native folder structures, it allows for hierarchical organization in a way that feels most familiar to us. Furthermore, Obsidian enables the creation of hierarchical organization through nested tags. Network-based node system does not have top-down organization, but each nodes are linked based on their relationship to one another. In digital world, this is often done via tags and/or referencing one node from the other. This organization system is more flexible and effective in smaller scale. They help us to get inspiration when there is a way to view the linked relationship graphically. Obsidian supports both tags and bidirectional links. Tags in Obsidian are versatile. You can tag each node with properties, and you also have the option to use inline tags. Plus, Obsidian supports nested tags, allowing you to create groups of tags with limitless levels. Linking node in Obsidian can be created with a minimal friction by using a simple wiki-style double bracket link format. You can create a link to even non-existing file as a placeholder. Some users use this in place of tag. Obsidian provides a graph view mode that enables us to visually explore connections among our organized nodes in the network. Object note-taking is a method of capturing and organizing information in a structured way using distinct objects to represent different types of content. For object note-taking support, the app requires a capability to assign properties to each node, as well as method to display the related node properties together. Object note-taking can be a highly effective and intuitive method for organizing node in a proper situation. Obsidian offers the capability to set and create advanced properties to each node, including multi-select fields and links to the other nodes. These features empower us to develop fully functional object-based nodes. However, the core version of Obsidian does not yet include an object view mode like the database views in Notion. For now, you need to use Community plugin to access this feature. But official data view support is on the way, as it is currently listed as active on their roadmap. There are many other benefits to using Obsidian. Here are some of its standout features. A vault in Obsidian is a folder on our local file system that we choose to open as a current working group of Obsidian files. This encompasses all files and subfolders contained within it. Vault can serve as a workspace in other PKMs. For instance, I have personal and couple work vaults tailored to my specific role at work. Vault being native folder in our local system, it opens up a few noticeable benefits over those PKMs that create own database file, that their content cannot be accessed other than by their own apps. A vault can be easily created, copied, moved, and even combined or split. However, the latter two actions carry their own risks and indexing if you are not careful, so it's a good idea to exercise caution when performing them. A vault can hold any file type, including Microsoft Word and Apple numbers, and allows us to organize them alongside our notes using straightforward native folder grouping. These files can be opened with default local app. This way, even when working on a project that involves special file types, we can keep everything related to the project in one convenient location. Obsidian's template is simple yet incredibly effective. The template is essentially just a note, but its content will be inserted exactly at the cursor position of the active node. This feature enables us to use a template as a convenient snippet that can be added while we write, or it can act as a complete outline of a new node, including properties. Because Obsidian is 100% local, multi-device sync can be set up using choice of your own cloud storage without any extra cost, and you don't necessarily need to subscribe to Obsidian Sync. Since all my devices are Apple-based, I personally use iCloud. This works amazingly well. The sync between devices are nearly instant, and I haven't lost any data so far. However, I've heard that iCloud doesn't function well with Windows, which is more of a limitation of iCloud. So in such case, you need to find alternative cloud storage. If you can't find one or prefer to use an end-to-end encrypted service, then Obsidian Sync subscription option may be perfect for you. We can multitask in Obsidian in every way we can think of. It offers multi-split views, tabs, multiple windows, and even several app instances. The versatility of the multi-split view let us arrange them side by side, top and bottom, in different combinations, like 2 side by side on top and 1 on the bottom, and more. Additionally, we can save these layouts for easy switching back and forth. Obsidian has proven to be incredibly reliable so far. It's both fast and stable. With its approach of using individual files for each node, it also scales well for a large collection. Obsidian's mobile app is available for free and can be synced with other devices via cloud service. I've only tested it on iOS devices, but it works smoothly and reliably, and of course, fully offline. In December 2024, Obsidian introduced a Chromium-based browser within the Obsidian app. This browser is quite powerful, featuring ad blocking, bookmarking, a reader view, and the ability to save pages directly to your vault. It's worth mentioning that Obsidian took extra precautions by having this new module tested by Cure53 to ensure its security compliance. Obsidian showcases exceptional craftsmanship in its app design. When you take a closer look at what I call corners and edges of the app, it's clear that the thoughtful approach has been taken to minimize friction for each functionality within the Obsidian. The selection of Markdown syntax, including wiki link style and its embedded counterparts, serves as a great example for this. Whether it's image, files, or notes, we can utilize the same minimal footprint syntax. Another recently noticed example is related to bookmark. Obsidian includes a bookmark section where we can bookmark notes, folders, or other files. When we use WebViewer to add a web page to the bookmarks, it joins the same section as other local item bookmarks. While each detail may appear minor and might not be immediately noticeable to users unless they intentionally look for it, this is a positive indication of the app's design. When things aren't functionally smooth, we tend to notice them as friction points. Next, let's discuss about features and aspects of Obsidian that have both pros and cons, what I call neutral points. For the complex topic learning or managing a personal project, an infinite canvas or whiteboard is crucial for me, as they enable efficient nonlinear information processing. In Obsidian, this feature is called Canvas. Similar to notes, each canvas will be stored as a single file using Obsidian's own open source file format, JSON Canvas. On Canvas, we can place Markdown notes, images, PDF files, YouTube videos, web page, and even unsupported file types. I can easily group them together and connect them with arrow links to provide visual organization. When using a tool like Canvas, sometimes we don't want to create a brand new notes, which in Obsidian are individual files. Instead, there are times we want to create a note that resides locally within the Canvas file itself to avoid cluttering the vault. Obsidian supports this well by entity called cards. A card can be formatted, tagged, link, or embed other contents. If you want to tag the canvas itself, this is a way to do so. Canvas also allows us to link to other canvases. Canvas do not support backlink. This means adding a note to a canvas does not produce any backlink to the canvas file. While diagram drawing and mind mapping are supported through a text-based diagram drawing open source technology called Mermaid, Obsidian does not support direct visual creation of them within the canvas. Freehand drawing is not natively supported in Obsidian. In summary, Obsidian's canvas is straightforward yet functional, supporting a core nonlinear workflow. However, it doesn't quite reach the level of some other whiteboard-centric PKMs. Markdown is a structured plain text format. Originally, it was developed by John Groover and released in 2004. The original intent was to write basic HTML in a simpler, readable way. Over time, Markdown has gained popularity with a wider range of use cases, which resulted in creation of many variants of Markdown that had their own proprietary syntax. So the Common Mark project was initiated in an attempt to create standardization in Markdown. The advantage of Markdown is it's accessible without any proprietary app, and relatively readable even without special visual renderer. Even though Common Mark exists, GitHub added its own Markdown syntax on top of it, and Obsidian expanded on GitHub's version even further. While this creates a proprietary Markdown syntax that goes beyond the standard, the additional syntax is designed to enhance our note-taking experience. For example, the latest version of Common Mark lacks table, highlight, and strikeout, which are relatively commonly used features in note-taking apps. Obsidian added specific Markdown syntax for these. Also, the core of the knowledge management app is its ability to link and embed notes. Since these features are not included in Common Mark, Obsidian has added them as well. WYSIWYG stands for What You See is What You Get. It describes a type of text editor program where the display during editing matches how the final document will look. Applications like Microsoft Word, Google Docs, and Apple Notes are all considered WYSIWYG. Obsidian's live Markdown editor isn't entirely WYSIWYG because when you put a focus on a block that uses Markdown formatting, it displays the Markdown source code for that section. This might feel a bit awkward for users who are new to Markdown editors. Fortunately, you don't need to know the Markdown syntax to write in Obsidian. All Obsidian-related Markdown supported syntax can be inserted or cleared through mouse clicks. In this regard, table editing is unique. The Markdown syntax for tables can slow everyone down, even experienced users. That's why Obsidian's live editor employs a WYSIWYG approach for table editing. While it writes Markdown syntax in the background, we can edit the table entirely in a visual way. One extended Markdown feature that I enjoy in Obsidian is the callout. If you've used an application like Notion, you might already be familiar with this. It's a fantastic way to group blocks of text which are automatically displayed in their own background color section with a title and small icon. This design makes the section stand out right away. To create new ones, simply right-click and select Insert Callout. Once it's in place, you can right-click on the callout to change its type. Although you can create a new callout without knowing Markdown syntax, when you edit the callout section, part of its content appears as Markdown source code, which is inconsistent to the rest of Live Editor. For instance, highlight and bold formatting are applied immediately when we move to focus away from the block. However, bullet points and headers won't appear until we exit the callout section, which can be a bit confusing. I had hoped the developer would provide the same functionality for callouts as they do for tables, making the callout section WYSIWYG. Obsidian's visual editing support is limited to what's supported in Obsidian-flavored Markdown. For instance, we can't change color of text or highlight, merge cells in table. In the common Markdown specification, if specific Markdown style syntax is missing, we can utilize raw HTML. However, raw HTML is not as friendly for plain text reading, which is precisely why Markdown was created in the first place. So if you want to achieve things like change text color, you need to use raw HTML in Obsidian. This can be seen as either a limitation or a flexibility. For instance, several PKM apps I've tried don't allow us to change the font, but in Obsidian, using HTML syntax, we can change just a portion of our node to a specific font. Overall, Obsidian's PDF support is decent, showcasing some standout features, while also having a few areas that could improve compared to other PKMs I've experienced. The standout feature is that, unlike other PKMs, Obsidian enables us to create links to native PDF annotations. This allows us to annotate PDFs outside of Obsidian and later link to those annotations within Obsidian. Currently, Obsidian lacks support for native PDF file annotation within the app. This means that to annotate, we first have to open PDF file in an external application. However, to link the annotation to a note, I need to use Obsidian's internal viewer. As a result, I end up having two instances of the same PDF open simultaneously while doing this. Obsidian's roadmap includes PDF annotation as a planned feature. However, it depends on the PDF.js module. Another practical issue I've observed is that the area highlight embedded is not scaled to the highlight itself. Instead, it displays as a full page scale. This often makes the highlighted content challenging to read. Transclusion is a fantastic feature that allows you to embed the content of one note into another by reference, much like including an image or video in your note. The source exists in a single location, but you can utilize it in multiple places. This means that if you edit the source, all notes that transclude it will immediately show the most current content. This promotes a modular design of notes, facilitating the workflow of creating long-form documents by combining existing notes. In Obsidian, transcluding other notes uses the same straightforward wiki link-inspired syntax as embedding images, PDFs, or other files. Obsidian even supports header section and block link and transclusion. These allow even more granular control. One word of caution. If you change the header or block reference ID name manually without using the right mouse click and rename option first, it will break the existing link. Unlike note links, these link ID occurrences won't update automatically. This has been a popular feature request since the original post in 2021. However, according to one of the developers, implementing this could lead to a performance issue. So the likelihood of this feature being implemented may be slim at this time. Obsidian provides an unparalleled level of customization options for its users with a wide array of settings. I've come across many of these settings as a feature request in other PKM systems. Examples include options for fonts, text size, up zoom level, hide or display normally hidden unsupported file extensions, default location for new node, default location for attachment file, set custom CSS either globally or individual node, setting various custom hotkeys, and much more. Obsidian also offers a theme library that lets us transform the entire appearance of the app. These themes are crafted by community members, and there are more than 300 options available to choose from. I generally prefer to begin with the default settings as I believe this is how the developer intended us to experience the app initially. However, Obsidian's default setup seemed different from the usual practices I've encountered in other PKMs. I expect that many users would like to customize the default settings. However, with so many options available, it can sometimes feel a bit overwhelming. Some users might even mistakenly believe that their first experience with Obsidian lacks certain features because of the app's limitations, when in reality, it might just be a matter of adjusting the preference settings. For example, you might be accustomed to using the / for various in-node formatting shortcuts, but this feature isn't enabled by default in Obsidian. So you'll need to go into the setting to turn it on. Independent of how you organize your notes, having a search functionality is essential for quickly accessing the content of your second brain. This is one of the major advantages of digital notes over physical ones. Obsidian offers a powerful search tool with numerous options. You can easily access the global search tool from the left navigation pane or by using the simple Command-Shift-F keyboard shortcut. It allows for combinations of exact word matches, along with not, and or keyword searches. Plus, there are filter options to define your search targets. In addition to typical contexts like tags, tasks, or properties, you can also search for nodes that include a combination of keywords within the same line. Obsidian also supports regular expressions, allowing for pattern match searches. The search quality result can even be embedded within your notes. The search syntax is identical to what you use in global search bar. Just place it under code block named with query. While it's wonderful to have so many options, I believe many users might struggle to tap into most of its capabilities and could find it a little confusing initially. For example, I had assumed that searching for PDF file name in my vault would immediately display it as a query result. However, that wasn't the case. It turns out that by default, the search only examines the paths and file names of notes and canvases. Therefore, to locate PDF file, I needed to use the file or path operator. While I personally use journal notes mainly for inbox purposes, I understand that for many, this is an essential part of your workflow. Obsidian provides several key features to enhance your journal note-taking experience. However, this is another case where many users will likely need to change the default setting if they plan to do daily journaling. The default setup for where new notes are placed in Obsidian is the root folder in the vault. This may not be the ideal location for most people who plan to create daily notes frequently. Instead, I would guess many prefer to have their notes organized by year and month. For this purpose, Obsidian offers automatic subfolder organization for journal notes. To set this up, we need to go into the setting and select the core plugin section for daily notes. Then under the date format section, we simply specify the format, including the folder path. For instance, the setup illustrator will generate a folder for each year containing subfolder for each month. Ultimately, within each month folder, we will have the specific daily notes. We can also set up a default template for our daily notes. This way, every time we create a new daily note, the template will be automatically applied. When you assign a date type property to a note, that property value will turn into the link to a daily note for that date. It's worth mentioning that this does not generate a backlink in a daily note itself. One notable omission in Obsidian's core is that it currently lacks a built-in calendar view, which I believe most users would find to be an intuitive way to access their daily notes. It's quite common for people to use PKM apps as straightforward task managers. Obsidian Core offers simple task management workflow. In Obsidian, you can easily create a task list using Markdown or by simply right-clicking with your mouse. To retrieve the list of tasks from anywhere in the vault, we will utilize Obsidian's powerful search tool. They have developed 3 specific search operators for this purpose: task, task to do, and task done. By using one of these operators, the search context focuses specifically on the status of these tasks. The rest is simply a text search. For instance, if you'd like to view the list of all incomplete tasks with due dates, and you've included the word due for each of those tasks, you can simply search for due. If you're looking for all completed tasks, just use task done. However, there's a small catch. If you don't enter anything after the operator, it won't return any results. To retrieve any text, you'll need to use a regular expression, \w, which means it will match with anything. This can get quite complex fairly quickly. For example, if I want all the results with the due date in April 2025, and assuming I follow American English standards, I need to create a regular expression that captures them. When it comes to Obsidian's support and communication, I would rate it as overall good, although there are some areas where I wish it could be better. The Obsidian's help document is outstanding. It's clear, well organized, and the examples and tips provided are incredibly useful. If you have the chance to read them, I believe they are definitely worth your time over any other YouTube video or website. Due to large amount of user base, you can often find assistance from either community members or Obsidian staff. In terms of app design, future planning, and bug fix status, the communication from Obsidian's developers often feels a bit reserved. For example, even concerning items on the roadmap that are currently active or planned, there isn't a rough estimate timeline provided. While the many customization options of Obsidian offer incredible flexibility, the true limitless potential of the Obsidian comes from its community plugins. The well-crafted ones can completely transform the system's functionality. We will need a separate video to explore this pros and cons, as the topic goes beyond today's discussion. However, here are a few brief general points about them. As mentioned earlier, most if not all of the limitations I am discussing in this video should have some sort of workaround with community plugins. Some of these plugins can even outperform corresponding features found in other PKM apps. However, community plugins can be a double-edged sword. They can add significant amount of complexity, and the users may find themselves in a never-ending quest for better community plugins. Furthermore, community plugins are not always reliable and come with their own set of risks. Even those that are highly rated and well-built can bring out their own challenges. Mermaid is an open-source technology that allows users to create a variety of diagrams using our Markdown-inspired text syntax. Mermaid can enhance workflow efficiency, especially if you already have a diagram and just need to make a few minor adjustments. Mermaid supports a variety of diagram types. Each type of diagram has its own syntax, therefore when creating a new Mermaid diagram from scratch, it may feel a bit more time-consuming. Mermaid can be a bit challenging to customize if you are looking to create a fancy diagram with a unique decorative elements, different colors, or each shape, and more. It's quicker to use visual tools and export it as image in such situations. Obsidian natively supports Mermaid. We can insert them within our notes or even on Canvas card. Obsidian doesn't come with a built-in visual editor for Mermaid, so you'll need to use text coding. While creating a new one is as easy as copying and pasting a template and changing the text, it might still feel like a bit of a learning curve for users who aren't familiar with the idea of drawing through text. My recommended workflow with Mermaid is opening the same note side by side in a split view mode. This way, you edit the Mermaid code on one pane and you can see the actual diagram preview on the other. Alternatively, you can use free online visual tool editor, Mermaid Live Editor. Once you're done, you can copy the code back. However, free users have a limited set of diagram types on this tool. While this is technically separate from Obsidian core app, Obsidian provides a web clipper, which is a browser extension that allows us to capture web pages and import them into Obsidian. It was introduced in November 2024. Although it's relatively new to the Obsidian family, it's quite powerful. It supports all major types of browsers. It allows us to highlight web pages, copy the page to the clipboard, download them as a Markdown files, or import them directly into current active Obsidian Vault. These pages include rich metadata stored as a node properties. You can even create your own template for these. This browser extension even works on mobile devices. While overall it is one of the most powerful web clipper I've used, there are some limitations in current version. On certain sites, the behavior of highlights can be inconsistent. For instance, when I highlighted text on the Obsidian help page, the highlight didn't stay with the text but instead scrolled with the page. On another site, the highlight was not visible unless I kept the Obsidian Clipper highlight on, even though I had set my options to always show it. I also observed that the selection to always show highlights only take effect after reloading the page. Currently, there is no way to sync highlights across multiple devices. I also find it hard to see highlighted image since they cover the actual image. Lastly, while it's not very common, one of the images from a website I often use unfortunately can't be loaded with Web Clipper. This appears to be due to server-side restrictions on embedding external images. However, for some reason, other apps like Readwise Reader can actually display these images. Obsidian Publish is an optional paid subscription service. For $8 a month, we can share our Obsidian notes online. I use this feature so I can access my Obsidian content on my work computer, where I can't install any third-party apps. You don't need to know anything about programming or server setting. It's basically a mouse click away to get started. I really appreciate that we can choose what to publish on node-by-node basis instead of having to publish an entire vault or even a whole folder. This flexibility lets us focus on sharing the content we truly want without a hassle of creating a special vault for it. Obsidian Publish also provides a variety of customization options, including the ability to make the site password protected. I find the default appearance of Obsidian Publish site to be clean and user-friendly, but if you have different preference, there are plenty of visual tweak options available as well. There are a few limitations that are recognized by Obsidian team. A couple of these have affected my usual workflow. They currently do not support publishing of Canvas. Since I regularly use Canvas-type workflows, this feels like a significant issue. The good news is that it's on the roadmap. However, the bad news is that it's still in the planning phase, and we don't know when it will actually be implemented. If you open the published note from an iOS device, the highlighted content in the PDF area cannot be viewed. Since collaboration isn't part of my PKM workflow, I haven't tested this myself. However, based on the information I've gathered, I believe Obsidian currently provides a partial collaboration workflow. Even though Obsidian saves each note separately and supports various methods for multi-device synchronization, you can't simply share your vault through a cloud drive like iCloud. This is because a vault keeps track of the working pane setup. So if another user modifies a current open note and closes the app, the next time you open your app, you'll be seeing the setup of the other user instead of where you left off. Obsidian Sync allows users to share a vault. However, Obsidian does not yet support collaborative live editing on the same file. You will not see the other user's cursor, and their edit will only appear once the changes are synced. If multiple users are editing the same file at the same time, changes will be merged. While Obsidian Publish allows multiple users to collaborate on a single site, the official recommendation is to ensure that the changes are synchronized amongst collaborators before publishing. This implies that Publish might also face challenges in effectively managing simultaneous site editing. The live editing feature is actively being developed and is part of the roadmap. If you need live editing right now, there are third-party services like PeerDraft and Relay that offer their own subscription plans to support this feature. Obsidian is not open source nor source available project, yet I actually don't mind about this fact in the case of Obsidian. Open source offers transparency, which many users consider to be the lower risk for data privacy. Moreover, some users perceive open source as an indication that the project is future-proof. Finally, open source, unlike open core or source available projects, suggests free. Regardless of how accurate these interpretations may be, most non-programmer users who support open source would agree that these are the reasons why some believe it is beneficial for users. However, as we've already mentioned, Obsidian offers the highest level of data privacy and is future-proof by its core design, all while being completely free. Therefore, with Obsidian, we don't need interpretation. The key elements are established facts. If you are especially curious about why the team chose not to make it open source, you can take a look at the official forum post by one of the co-founders from 2020. No PKM app can satisfy everyone, and developers must make important decisions when designing their apps, including which features to include and where to prioritize. While Obsidian seems to be one of the most versatile PKM options out there, it does have its own limitations. The main drawback of Obsidian seen by many users is its steep learning curve. While it's true that there is a bit of learning curve in Obsidian, I believe that a user's choices can greatly influence this experience. This can turn the learning curve into an exciting journey of gradual and noticeable improvement in their note-taking skills. Or, on the other hand, it may lead to a feeling of being lost in a chaotic open world. Please allow me to share my hypothesis about why the experience for new Obsidian user varies so much. Node organization is a crucial part of a proper PKM setup. While Obsidian offers essential tools for arranging your nodes in any way you prefer, its lack of strict guidance, unlike other PKM systems, might be perceived as a steep learning curve. Should you choose a hierarchical method, or would it be better to adopt a network approach? If you select a hierarchical method, should you use folders or nested tags? If you opt for a network approach, should you utilize tags or links? What about storing assets like images or PDF files? Should you keep them all in the single asset folder at the top level? Or would it be more effective to create subfolders under the corresponding nodes? Essentially, there isn't a single correct answer, since it varies from case to case. Personally, I use a combination and organize differently depending on my vault types, and they continue to evolve over the time. My personal tip is to start with what feels most natural to you. If you are unsure where to begin, I would recommend avoiding the creation of a structure before developing your content. As you produce more content, you may discover the necessity for various approaches. The most effective organizational method evolves and adjusts in harmony with your content. A rigid structure can lead to friction. If you're particularly interested in where to begin, links were the very first feature introduced in Obsidian, soon followed by the graph view, which allows you to visualize a network organization. Tags are also quite powerful and integrate smoothly with the graph views. Therefore, using one or both is a fantastic starting point. If you've chosen to experiment with links and/or tags, be mindful not to overdo it, as this could hinder your progress and the excessive use of either may not offer any benefits. If they appear unnecessary and confusing to you, starting with familiar folder structures and linking only when clear connections are present is a wonderful approach. This is because Obsidian automatically updates links whenever files are moved within the vault, allowing you to change your folder organization later on without impacting the links. As a side effect of incredible amount of flexibility Obsidian offers to users through the numerous customization options and thousands of community plugins, users can easily become overwhelmed and feel like being lost in the open world. This is one reason why I suggest resisting the temptation of the community plugins and instead focusing on what the core app can do for you at the beginning. If something doesn't feel quite right, explore the top in the class official help document and many customization options in the core plugins to see if they can solve the issue. Unless there's a feature that you absolutely need to enhance your workflow, it's best not to worry about community plugins. Spending hours and days personalizing the UI and making small adjustments to a system you might not use for note-taking could be a waste of precious time, unless, of course, that's something you truly enjoy. However, if you want to determine whether the app is right for you, it's best to integrate it into your actual workflow to spot any potential areas of friction. One of the limitations that could potentially be a deal breaker for some users is that Obsidian does not have a true web app. For instance, my work computer does not permit the installation of any third-party applications, so I am unable to use the native Obsidian app on it. However, one of the primary use cases of personal knowledge management for me is to create a personal wiki for quick information retrieval, along with references for detailed information when I need them. Even though this is the most discussed and desired feature request in the official Obsidian forum, it isn't currently on their developers' roadmap. Given Obsidian's data privacy principle, it is quite unlikely that this will be implemented in Obsidian anytime soon, if ever. In my experience, using Obsidian Publish along with either my mobile device or laptop that has Obsidian installed can largely bridge the gap. For retrieving my knowledge notes, I utilize Obsidian Publish site. When I need to make edits or add new notes, I switch to my laptop. There's also a new type of workflow that I couldn't accomplish with most other PKM systems I've tried before. Thanks to Obsidian's use of native file formats, I can easily edit individual files and email them to myself. For example, my primary reference sources during work are either PDF or a web article. I can annotate PDFs using the pre-installed Adobe Acrobat. I can highlight web pages with the Obsidian Web Clipper and download them as Markdown files. Later, I can add these into my Obsidian Vault on my home desktop and complete the rest of the workflow. Obsidian does not currently offer native support for AI out of the box. For Apple users, the absence of writing tool support stems from limitations in the backend programming platform Electron. Fortunately, it appears that Electron team is actively working on this issue. In conclusion, Obsidian is a fantastic option for anyone who values data privacy and autonomy. It allows you to take and organize notes in your own unique way, all at no cost. While its flexibility can be a great advantage, it may also pose challenges, particularly for new users who might find it a bit confusing. For this reason, I believe it works best for beginners when they have a clear focus or goal in mind regarding what they want to achieve, rather than just pondering what you can do with Obsidian. In fact, I initially used Obsidian sporadically for a few months over a year ago. At that time, I didn't fully grasp how it could enhance my workflow. So I switched to other, more streamlined, so-called user-friendly personal knowledge management system options. However, when I recently gave Obsidian another chance, everything just clicked for me. This is because through using other PKM apps, I've discovered how I want to utilize PKMs, and Obsidian supports that workflow. I just need to connect the right pieces. For this reason, I also believe Obsidian is an excellent PKM for those who have experience with other PKM app and understand their typical workflow. On the contrary, I think Obsidian may not be the best fit for those who have only a vague idea or goal, such as improving their note-taking skills. Cannot begin without thorough planning first. Get easily distracted by new things like community plugins. If you have these traits and struggle to let them go, Obsidian might feel overwhelming and distracting. Rather than improving your workflow, it could end up consuming your time on things that aren't really essential. After all, the primary purpose of PKM app is to take notes, and your content creation is what makes it valuable. If you really need a web app with editing capabilities or an AI-centric personal knowledge management system, then Obsidian might not be the right choice for you. As a final thought, Obsidian is an incredible personal knowledge management system. It definitely holds a special place in the PKM genre. However, if you're new to PKM like I was a couple years ago, you might not realize just how amazing this app is. Since it's free, I believe everyone interested in PKM should give it a try. If you are just starting out, keep it simple. If it still doesn't feel right, I suggest exploring other PKMs available on the market. There are many great options out there, but remember that one day you might want to revisit Obsidian because once you see other PKMs, Obsidian could look entirely different to you. Thanks for watching.